Good afternoon everyone, I'm Chris and welcome back to another episode of Rift Amps. Okay, so I'm just working on the Marshall Capri. What I've done is I've pulled out the 3 electrolytic capacitors for testing. You've got the 50 microfarad 50 volt cathode bypass cap that straps across the cathode resistor for the EL84, and that one is an Erie, and on my high voltage tester at 50 volts it is leaking. It's not leaking physically, but it is leaking electrically, so that needs to go. And the 2 multi-section can capacitors, they are 50 microfarads each side. There's 2 of them in the amplifier. They're 50 microfarad at 350 working volts. So I've tested them, each section, at that voltage, and they both are leaking, which is a shame because it means we've got to replace them as well. But they are, this amp's 1971, then we're talking 50 odd years old now, so they've done well, but they do need replacing. They don't even charge up to full capacitance, so that needs replacing. The other thing is there is a dropper resistor, a 1K between the first and second stages, and it has gone. It's a 5% resistor, and it is outside of its tolerance, so we're going to have to put something to replace that as well. So that's where we are. I'll just show you the amplifier without the capacitors in. You can easily see what's going on. So from the transformer, we've got a full wave rectifier, 2 diodes to the first filter stage, and from there that feeds the output transformer. Then you've got the 1K dropper to the second filter stage, which feeds the screens, I believe. Then we've got a 68K dropper between, which then feeds the other can capacitor. But this time, both sides, both 50 microfarads, are in parallel. So it's, as far as the amp is concerned, it's a 100 microfarad capacitor that sits there. And that is the filtering of the final node for the preamp valve, both stages. So it's a very simple design, and here's the preamp network. So yeah, not much going on in this amp, but before I even want to fire this up and test it properly, I've got to replace these caps. Now, you can't buy these. As you can see, these are the positive electrodes, and that's a combined negative. Now you can't buy these anymore with a negative side like that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 47 microfarads in and tie the grounds together, tie the negatives together, sorry, there. And for this stage I might just put a single 100 microfarad in there instead, but we'll see. This is a homebrew 5E3 kit build that he's stuck in a interestingly lacquered cabinet. It's got a Jensen C12N in it. I think it's just a standard 5E3. He's brought it into me though, where it needs checking over, but he would like me to fit a passive effects loop, which is quite easily done on these. You just repurpose the bright inputs to be a send and return, and then you take the normal top input to become the bright input. So we can do that. It's got the CTS A1M pots in it, which are the hair trigger ones, so you get nothing, 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 then it comes on full power, which is no good. So we're going to try and put some of the CTS dimple backs in, which have got a nicer taper, if not a set of Bournes, and then just go through it, check it's all okay. Let's get the back off and have a look inside. As far as kit builds go, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. I mean, I've definitely seen worse. It looks like it's a turret board construction, F&T filters. He's got protection diodes on the rectifier socket. He's got screen and grid stoppers on the 6v6s. Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. So what are we going to do? Well, it's surprisingly easy. In that we're just going to... You take the output from the volume controls that go to V2, and rather than coming off the volume pot, you just run them through these two sockets with a jumper, and then you just rewire that accordingly. And we're going to wire the sockets so the two 68Ks are constantly in parallel with each other, so you get the two high inputs. Yeah, and that's about it really. So, oh, look at that. The ground wire for the cathode, preamp cathode, is caught underneath that caps nut. That's no good. So we'll fix that, we'll go through, check everything else, but it's certainly not the worst home kit build I've ever seen. Doesn't look too bad. Looks like he's got himself a standby switch with a bypass resistor. Not bad. Not bad at all. Certainly not of commercial quality, but yeah. Right, let's go. Capri! Okay, so what have I ended up doing? All the electrolytics. One of the mustards was leaking, so I've replaced that. And the bright cap and the tone cap on the tone stack itself were both leaking as well, so they've had to come out. And then bias. Ah yes, so the original value for the amp is 125 ohms, which meant that this amp was biased at around 195% of the max. So we've ended up with 330, which has brought everything down. It's much nicer. It's still putting out, it's a healthy 6 watts, I think is a good way to put it. And now it sounds great. So I've got the loop running through it. Yeah, sounds great. Sounds just like Bernie's one did. So what have I got to do now? Got to clean the jacks, clean the pots, pop it back into the cabinet, reconnect the speaker cables, and then we can listen to the electrical speaker that's in the cabinet itself. So yeah, quite an easy one actually, just a general go through and sort out. But as I said, it's a simple circuit, there's not much going on. So just for those that are interested, coupling cap from the second stage into the grid of the EL84 was leaky. The two caps on the controls were leaky, and then we changed the cathode bias resistor and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 electrolytics in the amp. Oh, one thing I will say is that the amp, this amp here, doesn't have the Zobel network that Bernie's one had on the output transformer. Nothing there at all, which is very interesting. I don't know why this one didn't have it, but Bernie's one did, but this one certainly sounds okay. So I'm not going to add them. There's certainly no need to. But yeah, that's the only real difference I've found. Almost forgot. The customer asked if we could do anything with the original handle for the amp. Look, as you can see, it's completely come apart. You're not going to get a replacement for this, but what I have managed to find is that the standard low power tweed like Champ handles actually fits perfectly into the original cap. So it's not a perfect replacement, but it looks much better than what it had. So I think customers can be happy with that, and of course they're quite affordable, so it's not going to be an expensive bill for him. So yeah, that's look at the absolute state of it. Certainly got his use out of it, didn't he? Right, that's that. Let's get the chassis in. Okay, so those who've been watching for a while will know I've been working on this particular Ainsley build for a while. Now, it doesn't normally take me this long to build one of these up, but as some amp builders will know, sometimes an amp will just fight you every step of the way. Most builds go super smoothly, but sometimes, and I don't know why it is, but sometimes every single little job you do is 10 times the effort. There's always something that's not quite right that you've got to go back and redo, or you want to change, or whatever it is. They just fight you, and they're a nightmare, and they take forever. But I've just fired this one up on the bench, even though it's been the biggest fight I've ever had. It sounds incredible, absolutely brilliant. It's probably, I would say, it's probably one of the best sounding ones I've done. So maybe the fight's worth the effort, eh? But there you go. So it's cabinets here, speakers here, plates are here. So I can get it all assembled. Ainsley's got to come over, play it and sign it off, make sure he's happy with it. But this one is, yeah, it's a real good one. So wherever this one is going to in America, guy's going to be super happy with it. I know that for sure. So yeah, but that's it then, guys. I really appreciate you watching this week's episode. I know I keep saying I'm going to try and get more videos out, and then I leave it too long between videos. I'm sorry, it's just I'm so busy, I've got so much to do, so much on, that I just keep forgetting to film stuff and actually get stuff on camera for you to watch. So I'm really sorry about that, but there you go. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and I shall try and get a video out later on this week. If not, we'll see you soon. Bye bye.